What is going on, everybody? If you can hear me, if you can see me, do me a favor and absolutely destroy that like button. Today, we're talking about what I think of as the most important factors that will dictate the next few weeks and months of this crypto market's performance. Now, what are we looking at? Of course, we've been looking at the macro factors, and I hate to say it, but I was completely right that this initial wave of DeFi mania was simply the product of excess liquidity in the markets. Not to take anything away from DeFi, DeFi's awesome. I think that it brings something that the crypto markets specifically love, which is the constant gaining. Everybody loves constant gains, and DeFi offers this, a way to ensure that your money is never stagnant. But the macro lifting of every single DeFi project to unseen and unpredicted heights, that was the product, I believe, of stimulus in the market, of excess liquidity. And it looks as though, regardless of the outcome of this election, that we're going to see the money printer get heated up and used in unprecedented ways over the next few months, regardless of the outcome. But if the outcome does tilt in favor of what they're calling a blue wave or a democratic wave, then it does feel like those stimulus measures might be 2 to 3, maybe 5, even 10x as big as if it were to be the other way. We're going to be talking a little bit about the different potential outcomes, of course, how this is going to affect the markets, and what's been going on essentially with the vaccines, with the updates to this macroeconomic landscape, and then what we can expect here in the altcoin space, how the altcoins are going to react, which is, of course, I know what I like to focus on and what you like to focus on, because altcoins offer truly transformative opportunities financially. I believe that the right few altcoins could essentially get people more or less into a position of financial freedom. Of course, as long as you're entering this market and behaving with a sensible head, taking profits in the ways that I explained you should. Obviously not financial advice, but these are guideposts that have helped me achieve similar goals and things that I love to share with the audience. So if you guys are excited for this, do me a favor, absolutely destroy that like button. We're going to pop in and respond to some comments before we get into the meat of this episode. 10x stimulus, more crypto for me, 100%. I think that the sort of saga that this has all been, as far as the issues going on with the macro economy, the issues going on that are affecting the crypto economy, are only strengthening the fundamentals within crypto, the fundamentals within Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about how more and more public companies are starting to turn to Bitcoin as a cash reserve, as a hedge against issues going on in the macro economy. And the initial shots have been fired. This is now going to be a race to who is the last company to hedge in this manner. And given what we're going to see, which I believe is going to be a pretty dominant narrative coming out of the Bitcoin camp, which I believe will be followed and slingshot the alts up to new all-time highs, just the same as what happened in 2016. I think you all are going to agree with me that we have a lot to look forward to, especially as we see the recovery of the NASDAQ over the last month, since essentially the market started pricing in the idea of stimulus. I don't believe the altcoin market or the crypto markets have truly priced in stimulus yet. So I believe that we will kind of lag behind, whereas the centralized markets, I believe they get those sort of preemptive moves because the big players, they behave in a more predictable way. But once that money printer truly heats up, I believe it will be fireworks here in crypto land, specifically with Bitcoin. But I believe Bitcoin, that rising tide will lift all ships, including the DeFi boats that we know and love. So if you guys are excited, smash that like button. I'm going to hop in. 350 of you guys, thank you so much for showing up on this fine Tuesday. Smash that like and we can dive into the meat of the episode. Again, if you guys aren't following, I'm going to be covering a lot of very interesting coins as this market heats up. You're going to want to be subscribed with that bell notification set to all, because who knows when the content's going to come out. Sometimes I find out about these coins literally right before I was going to go to bed, and well, that means I'm not going to bed. I'm making a video and pumping out a new video on a very cool coin I found. FUD TV fan for a while. Thank you guys. That was the original name for the channel. For a very long time. It's great, but we wanted to pivot into something a little bit less potentially seen as a negative. Some people saw the FUD name as a negative. They thought I was here to FUD. Nope. Could anything be worse than economic downturn and now Elio is late? I'm not late. I'm here for you right now. I'm here for you. All right, not a lot of pressing questions, so let's dive into the meat of the episode. And get me boxed up. So this is, of course, the biggest news of the day, which is that Goldman Sachs, one of the biggest financial institutions in the world, has recommended shorting the dollar, increasing the odds of a Bitcoin bull run. Now, anything that trades against the dollar is, of course, made stronger by Goldman Sachs or anyone shorting the dollar or the dollar weakening. So Goldman believes that the risk from vaccine trials and the uncertainty of the U.S. election could weaken the dollar. Now, we're going to go into the vaccine trials because, of course, Johnson & Johnson just halted their vaccine trials in stage 3. And I'm not an expert here, so I'm not going to pretend to know what this all means. But from what I gather, this is pretty much bad news, and it shows that these vaccines are not going to come out as fast as we thought. We've seen a massive uptick in new cases. All in all, what we're seeing is that we are far from out of the woods yet when it comes to this whole COVID, saga of the economy. This whole lockdown phase, I don't see ending very soon. Obviously, for certain aspects, certain tech sectors, that's kind of bullish. But for the larger economy, it's extremely bearish. And we can only expect that a sane government, a government that cares about its humans that it governs over, would inject some stimulus. Whether or not you can get through it, we know that many people, especially, staples of this nation's economy, restaurants, bars, any kind of physical location, brick and mortar, have been absolutely devastated. And so the idea that we're not going to get stimulus to me is off the table. The idea that that stimulus is going to remain in US dollars is also almost completely illogical, as the biggest financial players here in the world are saying, are you kidding me? This US dollar is not going anywhere. So what we really want to focus on is this concept here, which is that the blue wave, most people consider, hey, the Republicans, Trump, they're here to pump. They're here to pump the markets. They're here to pump whatever they can. And I see this echoed around crypto a lot. I see a lot of people thinking that essentially Trump is going to save crypto or something to that effect. And I'm not sure where that comes from. Obviously, we've had bull runs under Obama, bull runs under Trump. I don't think that crypto necessarily cares who's in office. I think it's more about the macroeconomic factors surrounding the dollar's weakness, surrounding stock markets and how strong they are. And I believe that if the money printer is going to go burr for that much longer, and to that extent, then whoever's sitting in the chair, it's going to be really, really good for Bitcoin. And as we've seen, Bitcoin has remained strong. I actually saw on Ivan's show earlier today that there is a statistic that after Bitcoin has 6 positive days of growth, 6 daily closes that are green in a row, that historically it rallies another 8+% throughout the following week. Again, who cares about these predictions? We know that the fundamentals around Bitcoin have never been stronger, that the need for a global reserve asset that moves at the speed of the internet, that is essentially borderless and friction-free globally, that is something desperately needed by the world. We're not here to go through the rabbit hole here and talk about everything amazing about Bitcoin, but it really does feel like the super cycle, the one where we could potentially captivate not just hundreds of thousands, not just, a collection of adventurous risk takers, but we could actually see the addition of hundreds of millions, if not billions, of new people into the crypto economy, people who have been disenfranchised or left behind by the current legacy financial system, which the monetary policy is seeming increasingly like a race to the bottom. And that's not necessarily the fault of the governments or anything like that. It's just the way it is right now. Economic weakness is leading to a need for salvation of sorts, and that salvation is going to come in the form of printed money. That printed money debases each and every dollar in existence and drives demand for things like Bitcoin. It's a pretty easy sort of situation we can see set up. The Square investment, the MicroStrategy investment, those are going to go down in the books as some of the most brilliant, high risk and high reward maneuvers I believe ever taken by CEOs of publicly traded companies. And so, as people here are begging for stimulus, we see now, in my mind, a pretty clear reality that this has been a political football. That in reality, stimulus is what the heck? That in reality, stimulus is not coming. that it's going to come after the election, because the point here I don't think was to reach an agreement. I think the point here was to for both sides to kind of flex and pretend. I think the Republicans are probably more likely to want to make an agreement, but I don't think the Dems had any intention of doing that, because, you know, even Democrats are starting to sort of defect here and turn on Pelosi and them because she's being so stern. But I think this is just a political game. We know that political games get really ugly, and it's important to look at just sort of where things go. Now, I personally am not a big believer in polls, right? I'm not a big believer that polls are a great indicator. As we know, the polls were completely wrong in the last election. However, this is way, way more tilted than the last election. I think the last election was like 70-30 or something like this. This is like 86-13. That is crazy. And, you know, 538 is sort of like a poll of polls. They're like a meta polar. And so, like I said, guys, I don't have a horse in this race. I'm not really focused on anything but crypto, because I believe that crypto is the way for people to be able to take care of, you know, their families. I believe that crypto is the way to have financial freedom. And so I don't really have a political horse. I don't really have a political axe to grind, but I want to see what's best for Bitcoin. And based on my analysis, a blue wave would be good. A red wave would be good. Whatever wave would be good, because they're all going to need to print money. There's no easy fix for this economy. But this, to me, I mean, if Trump pulls this off, it will just essentially show that polling is useless, right? That's all I think it'll show, right? And that people who vote for Trump don't talk about it. But regardless, this is pretty amazing to see. I mean, I didn't expect to see the polls get this heavily tilted, but here we have, at least according to 538, which I find to be pretty, pretty reliable data-driven pollster. They poll all the other polls. That this is pretty one-sided here. But again, time will tell. There's still paths for Trump, a few of them, but significantly more, it would seem, for Biden. We'll have to see what happens. This, to me, is the biggest thing, right? Because if Biden wins and there's still a Republican-led Senate, then I believe that it would be very, very, very hard to get stuff done, because it would be essentially another political game of trying to make the president look bad on the right. And so you would have essentially potentially gridlock, where we don't get bills passed. That would be bad for probably all markets, right? So if Biden does win, which seems likely, you know, my hope is that we do get essentially confluence where we could get bills passed. But again, I only care what benefits Bitcoin. To be completely honest, I don't care about many other issues here. So it seems like there's a slight favoring here. But again, I would say that this is just so many different races. It's very hard to predict this, right? Definitely curious what you guys have to say, though. I try to avoid politics, except when it seems to be the most relevant possible topic for predicting the outcomes of the crypto markets. 600 people in the house. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate everybody. Yeah, polling is quite useless. I agree completely, but it is, to me, a little crazy to see them so tilted in one side. But that's not the point of this episode. The point of this episode is to talk about the markets. And what we see here is that the NASDAQ has just had an amazing recovery from this, you know, what people thought was going to be the long way down here, all the way down to, you know, what did people expect to see it fall all the way down to, you know, the highs of the .com era here back in, the 4,000 level, up from, 11,000. I don't know what they expected, but it seems as though year to date, we see that this has almost recovered and we're coming up. And if we break through this resistance, we're going to make new all-time highs. And I think that's highly, highly likely if we get this monster stimulus that, to me, seems all but likely given the writing on the wall, Goldman Sachs shorting the dollar. We're going to see monster stimulus. Trump wants a stimulus. He keeps talking about it. If he's still in the chair, he'll sign it. If the Dems are there, they'll sign it. So someone's going to pass a stimulus, and that's going to drive these prices to newer and higher highs. And so when not to mention Bank of England, again, talking about negative interest rates. If you guys don't know what negative interest rates are, that essentially means that if you leave your money in the bank, they'll charge you for leaving your money in the bank, meaning that it's not only free to borrow money, but they'll charge you for holding money. It is an absolutely mind-bending concept that will drive people in masses, in waves, into alternative investments, gold, Bitcoin, and equities. It's unconscionable, but apparently they're really considering this. So they're, Wood said the Bank of England has moved a step closer to adopting negative interest rates after writing to banks asking them how ready they would be for the groundbreaking move. Sam Woods, one of Threadneedle Street's deputy governors, has asked banks what steps they would need to take in the event the official borrowing costs were pushed below zero. For a negative bank rate to be effective as a policy tool, the financial sector as key transmission mechanism of monetary policy would need to be operationally ready to implement in a way that does not adversely affect the safety and soundness of firms. It's pretty hard to imagine that that would happen, right? Because you're essentially charging people to hold their money in a bank. What kind of safe measure would that be? No one's ready for that. So, this would be essentially an upending of what we know of as kind of the point of a bank, which is to take care of your money. People would just start pulling out cash. I think that would trigger a lot of very unwanted effects. But then again, who knows, right? For me, I love when I see news stories like this. Billionaire UK newspaper owner calls DeFi technology revolutionary and aims to start his own Bank 2.0. All of these news pieces together are very, very bullish, right? And it shows you that in this altcoin world, which we're going to get to in a minute, it shows you that in this altcoin world where things have really been hit hard, going to projects that I was extremely bullish on, even like projects like Ren, which actually is kind of a bad example because it had a great bounce. But projects that have just been knocked down from their highs, we've seen a nice bottoming, and these charts are starting now to resemble a little bit that NASDAQ chart of this bottoming and turning around. And so the DeFi majors, as I call them, I believe that they will be an integral part of the next part of this bull run. And, I wanted to look at a project called Neo, previously AntShares, because this one had just an absolutely ridiculous run throughout its life cycle, right? And if we see here, let's go back to 2016, if we can get there. If we see here at the end of 2016, Neo actually, the price history doesn't go back far enough, but it had a huge cool off in September, would you believe it, of 2016, right? AntShares Neo was absolutely devastated in September. And then it made its way back in early 2017. I think 2021 is the perfect comparable here. And it ended up becoming what I understand to be the highest performing ICO or new token sale of all time, right? So it gets absolutely devastated here, which you can't see because it's completely flat on the chart. That's how invisible these price movements were. Gets devastated in September, sort of hovers at these lows for several months. And those who accumulated here at literally 10 cents, it looks like it dipped down to about 12 cents. Well, Neo ended up at one point $200. So almost I think 2000x, right? So there are going to be coins, if this is anything like the last bull run, that this devastation that we've seen at the end of 2020, which is a perfect corollary on the 4-year Bitcoin halving cycle to 2016, seeing this altcoin cool off throughout the September month of 2016, I mean, history doesn't repeat, but it sure as heck rhymes. I don't know if you guys have heard that saying. So I just wanted to bring the example of AntShares to you because it shows you that the projects that are, hotly anticipated in 2016 Ethereum killers or, Ethereum competitors, in this case, this was considered the Ethereum of China. It ended up trying to upgrade and change and do-si-do around and become an Ethereum killer. But really, this was just considered the Chinese Ethereum, right? And it had a few very devastating cool-offs that started, the earliest one, in late 2016, September, and it had several other ones. But we see that it keeps trudging up higher and higher, eventually making a 2000x. So this stuff is possible, right? And I believe that with the macro factors that we see surrounding this entire crypto market right now, we're going to see altcoins hopefully do something quite similar. I mean, look at this. It was up at 55 cents, came down, bottomed out at 8 cents, right? So 55 cents down to 8 cents. That is like an 84% drop there. Absolutely crazy, right? And if you saw an 84% drop, I mean, we have a ton of DeFi coins that went through an 80% drop in this last month. Let's look at the DeFi index here on CoinMarketCap, or CoinGecko rather, and let's look at, they have an all-time high feature. They did. I don't know if I can get to it from this DeFi index. But at any rate, we can look at what else went down 85%. There's been a few of them. I think Acropolis might be a good example of that. Where's Acro? Yeah, this one's down almost 85%, I think. Same with Teller. Yeah, so its all-time high was at, no, this is actually its all-time high was back in 2019. But here it is, down from, call it 50 cents down to 8 cents. Very similar drop here, 50 cents or so down to 8 cents. And so maybe this is going to pull a Neo, right? Maybe this is one of those type of Neo coins. No guarantees here, not financial advice. I'm just sharing with you historical trends, things that have happened to coins in the past, and why I'm so bullish and optimistic about the macro setup here, the stimulus that seems almost all but in the bank right now, whether it comes from the right, left, center, I don't care where it comes from, it's coming. And then we have all these projects, these amazing DeFi projects, the Polkadot projects, which, as we're going to see here, Polkadot is I had a BitHum article, right? Yes. So BitHum is about to launch a DeFi platform as a Polkadot parachain. And BitHum is one of the biggest exchanges in the world, based originally out of Korea. I don't know if their only offices are in South Korea, but this is at least back in 2017, this was one of the biggest exchanges. And this was home of what they called the kimchi premium, where Korean people were buying XRP and certain cryptocurrencies at like a 25% premium just to get money out of the Korean won. And so things have been absolutely crazy in BitHum's history. And they're creating what they're calling a CDFI parachain. And so to me, the investment in and interest around Polkadot is absolutely at a fever pitch. So much so that when I meet with Polkadot teams, of which there's another Polkadot project called Bondly that I'm really excited about, that showed me their stuff. I think they're going to be really successful. They were telling me how hard it is to get substrate developers right now, because essentially the framework substrate that you build that is behind Polkadot is very niche, right? It's new, it's niche, it's not nearly as commonly practiced as Ethereum Solidity. But what they have here is essentially the demand for these developers because of the excitement around Polkadot. You can't find a developer to build your Polkadot ecosystem. You can't find it, much less there's only going to be like 100 parachains. So the actual cost and expense and difficulty of achieving a Polkadot project is going up exponentially. And people don't realize that. Maybe with more developers learning the substrate framework, that will come down. But for right now, there is a huge bottleneck here, and it's around actually finding the talent required to pull off your mission. And so when you see these Polkadot projects, I believe these Polka projects, I think there's a dot index. Yeah, there is. There's a dot ecosystem tag here on CoinGecko. And these projects here, let me sort by market cap. These projects, I believe, look at Chainx. Chainx is down at like 278. That's only a $20 million market cap. And it's gotten like hundreds of millions of dollars in wrapped Bitcoin, from what I understand, based on the data I've seen. Polka Starter has fallen a lot. I think it's still, at a healthy market cap, 6 million. And that's just a new entrant into this whole thing. Mantra DAO has gotten absolutely demolished, right? But like, these projects I think are going to do really, really well, especially knowing how difficult it is to get set up on Substrate and actually achieve a project on Substrate. So, obviously Chad's VC, that's a meme project, and Robonomics, interesting, but I'm not that bullish on Robonomics just because I think that the ecosystem is still very nascent. But a lot of these, and there's several of here that I see that aren't listed here on this dot ecosystem tag. Those are the projects I could see performing absolutely insanely as soon as this market starts turning back on. And throughout 2021, these are projects I would have my eyes on because they've gotten crushed. They got that initial sort of wave pulled them down, and now they have a chance to rise like a phoenix. Look at Neo, AntShares, and what happened to that coin over 2016 and then what happened in 2017. And I think we're setting up for something quite similar. I mean, you guys have been seeing this all over the place, but if we just go to the Bitcoin chart, you guys can easily see that Bitcoin's price performance from 2013 to 2017, right? It took from the end of 2013 all the way until 2017. And by the way, the price crashed in December, right? The price topped in December of 2013, just like we topped in December of 2017, and we got a little attempt to rally back. And then the smart money knew that when this failed rally happened in January, that it was time to get out. And then the Mt. Gox hack happened around here. People credit the Mt. Gox hack for wrecking the market, but I think it was just a technical. The parabolic run was over, and it took 3 years to get back over this hump, right? 3 whole years, but we see it happen. Finally, it does it with conviction in February of 2017. And so if history is to repeat itself even remotely or rhyme or smell the same, then we're looking at the same thing out of Bitcoin, and I believe the same thing out of trending narratives in the alts. I personally don't think Ethereum killer is the narrative that we're looking at. I think it's going to be interoperable. I think it's going to be layer 2. I think it's going to be things like Polkadot, which are essentially, make Ethereum better. They interoperate and offload processing from Ethereum. Those things are going to be the buzzwords in addition to DeFi. In addition, Polkadot is essentially its own narrative. And then oracles and things that help DeFi and things that are generally, buzzy and interesting. I personally think NFTs will have a wave, but I don't think it's necessarily... I think there's going to be a lot of trash in the NFT ecosystem, just like there's a lot of trash in the DeFi ecosystem. So it's about identifying those strong projects that actually have real teams and are delivering value. And I think they could be the Neos or the Antshares. But, these sort of anon rug pulley teams, that's not going to be the ones. I certainly hope not, right? So this is what I'm looking forward to happening in Bitcoin again. And this coins like Acropolis, coins that fit into DeFi and the Polkadot ecosystem. I think that that's like a really good sweet spot for coins that could pull a Neo in Antshares. I think I clicked off that tab. But I hope that helps clarify why I'm so... Wow, Elio, I'd be upside down rich from where... Yeah, so about the Unistake project, I actually I'm down a little bit, but what I was shocked at is that their dividends are so crazy. So I don't think a lot of people checked the dividends. I bought a lot of that coin, right? And I was a little bit like, oh, cool. So this whole gamified tokenomics thing really backfired. But then I checked, and all the people who sell had all those things get distributed to the people who are staking. So I'm actually really close to where I started. I haven't checked the price in a second. But I saw a nice little pump out of it this morning. I'm going to hold and see what happens, guys. I'm actually interested in what happens with this one, right? I always put my money where my mouth is. And my dividends, yeah, so it pulled up a little bit. At this level, I think I'm down probably like 15% or something. But every time people unstake and sell, I'm getting crazy dividends. Like I got over 25% more coins in dividends into my wallet since this fall here. And this listed above this whole red thing it auto lists at a really high price, which caused a big sell-off. And I should have known that big sell-off was coming. But the way these crazy gamified tokenomics are, I'm still holding it, guys. I'm still interested in what's going to happen. And if you actually see all of the excess payments you got from people unstaking and selling, it's really, really not as bad as it looks on this chart. It doesn't tell the full story. So, I'm excited to see what happens. Again, these coins are high risk. As I said, do your own research, form your own opinions. But the reason why I reviewed them is I like what their utilities are. I like their ISO product they're offering to other people. I like their pool share and their multi-stake. That's why I reviewed it. The tokenomics, again, as we're seeing, it's like a weird game here, but I'm not upside. I'm definitely not underwater. It's very close to where it was. I think like I'm down like 10 or 15%. And anyone who got into the round 3 with me is like that. Check out Rot and Swap. So yeah, I'm actually, do I still have Rot? I think I got out of my Rot because I got pretty crushed on it. Elio, are you down in some coins, negative 50% or more? Yeah, well, certainly I'm down in a lot, but I also, when stimulus looked like it was getting canceled, I tethered up quite a bit, as I told you guys, and started farming. And I have some exposure, obviously, to the coins I love. But I also am a believer that, these coins accumulating at these lower levels is what you want to do. Because if history is any guide here, then what we've seen is that coins like coins like Neo, right, which I think is a great example because it went 2000x. Coins like Neo show you that if they fit into these trending narratives before the bull run really starts, and the reason why this price history doesn't go back is because obviously this had a big run up after its ICO. And then it fell off, right? And this was a trending narrative, which is Ethereum killers. In some ways, the game has remained the same. But I believe strongly that the ones that had trending strong narratives before, in this August wave, I believe that they will have really strong narratives if they keep pushing updates and keep building their community throughout 2021. That's what I'm holding out for. And especially as we get stimulus, I believe that those coins will turn onward and upward again. And that this is just sort of like this intermittent period, which is why a lot of coins are doing sort of weird performance right now, is because people are just jumping into those really cheap coins. And a lot of the times it's sort of driving people to cheaper, hotter alts, right? And it's not really a race for quality. People aren't sussing out, hey, what's the highest quality project, the most disruptive use case, the best engineers, the best investors, the best true ecosystem. They're just looking for the cheapest coin that they think can get hot for a second and do gains. And so that's a market that's really, really difficult to play. And most of the time people get crushed in these markets. But if it wasn't for the stimulus right on the horizon, I would not be out here saying, gosh, I'm so optimistic. But I am optimistic because of the macro setup. And in that macro setup, I see a high performance possibility for the high quality alts. In an environment of really low liquidity, people have to sort of race to the bottom to get gains and pops because people are addicted to those 10x's. So you end up going after these sort of, hey, let's go after this micro cap of $100,000 market cap and hope we can get it to $1 million, right? Which is a drop of pee in the ocean in the larger scheme of things. But that's just sort of the way it goes right now. And the real smart players are accumulating those critical DeFi plays because DeFi isn't going away. We see this. We see BitHum. We see everybody's getting in to DeFi. We see huge major financial players recognizing the power of DeFi. That is the narrative of this new bull run. And I believe the bull run continues with more stimulus, and it all seems too poetic if it kicks off to newer and higher highs on the Bitcoin chart starting in January, February of 2021. Editor's Choice, thank you so much for the super chat. Wait, where did your comment go? What are your thoughts on barter trade? I'm actually not sure about barter trade. BART. I don't really know much about this coin, to be honest. I try not to do like whole fresh coin explorations. It's kind of clean site. Exchange that empowers you. The vision for barter trade is not to be just another exchange, but much more. Complete ecosystem for traders. Pretty generic, easy, smart, social, gamified way to trade cryptocurrencies. Nice buzzword usages. I'm not sure what they're... Okay, so they have algo trading, social trading, barter marketplace, battlegrounds. Interesting. Is this like the game? Battlegrounds is a trading gamified, play and compete while you trade crypto assets for... Okay, that's kind of interesting. I like games. I like gamifying the experience. Pi algorithm. Desktop application. Interesting, right? It seems like they're potentially doing the peanut butter thing where they're trying to do everything. But, you know, I'd have to look deeper into this, but I'm not off put. The site looks at least professionally built. It's nice. It looks like they've put some love into at least the code here on the site. I like how they're going to gamify the experience with this battlegrounds thing. We'll see what happens. It's extremely low market cap right now, 1.9. I really don't know enough about it, but I like what I saw so far. I'd have to check out more about the team and product. I did not talk about clone token. Judith Jassy, the best way to hold Bitcoin is to trade your Bitcoin. The best platform is no, this is just a plug. Can you stop? I'm gonna have to hide you. Sorry, spammer. 874, you guys, thank you so much for showing up. If you guys haven't smashed that like button, do me a favor and smash that like. And of course, yes, somebody's mentioning Tether. Tether's another great coin that I think is going to have a phenomenal 2021 with more liquidity. Even if it just gets back to its prior high, that's like a 5x. So I think getting Tether at these levels, I personally actually have gotten some Tether at these levels. But again, until like the stimulus is fully confirmed, we're seeing the uptick in the NASDAQ, which makes me think that the big players are pricing it in. But I think the big push comes for crypto once the money printer gets turned on. PepeYuge.finance, funny NFT, good for a laugh for the community. I'll look at this. I'll look at Pepe Yuge. I think I saw this the other day. Is this like a Yu-Gi-Oh? Yeah, this is like a Yu-Gi-Oh rarest NFTs ever. Okay, so this is great, but it's garbage at the same time. It's one of those things where I could see something like this if it was actually a really solid game coming together. And so this is, again, you see NFTs that they're starting to dabble on the territory which would make them more sustainable, which is they need a true gameplay experience. And then with that true gameplay experience, they can be given utility from the actual dopamine rush of the game. And then this rarity stuff becomes extremely valid. So I think that this stuff is, again, entertaining. I'm personally not going to be putting any money in it myself, but this is a very entertaining, and I like where the direction of some of these NFT projects are going. I think this is the right direction, not the right project, but the right direction. Thank you for that. I appreciate the super chat as well. Forever Latif. BiDAO will moon soon, burning half their tokens. Very interesting. Yeah, they've been doing good press lately. To everyone holding BiDAO, if you're doing well, congrats to you. What's your take on Unilayer, brother, and Moonswap? So let me check Layer. I think Layer had a really nice pump recently. No, it's down today, but it popped up. It popped up here to this sort of 42-cent level after this big sell-off on their mainnet launch. Yeah, I'm not sure. You know, they have a lot of good talk. You know, they're talking the talk, but you know, it's all in the products in the end. So, you know, there's sort of mixed outcomes on Layer right now, but in the end, all of these sort of projects that are adding functionality to Uniswap, they have a sort of short lifespan, because in the end, if Uniswap adds the features, they're done. But that said, Layer has a really ambitious mission. You know, for a lot of people, if you got in down here on this dip of 20 something cents and it popped up to 42, it's a pretty solid gain here for the people who bought the super dip. It'll be hard to say the future for something like Layer. I'm positive on it. But I definitely think that all of these are short-term plays, because once we get an ecosystem, either if it's on an L2, if we get interoperability through PokaSwap or Polkadot's dexes, if we get V3 and some scaling, obviously we heard that ETH scaling is moving along. So the idea that Uniswap V3 could come and sort of eat everybody's lunch is a reality. So if you get gains out of these projects, you should be really happy about them and take them and say thank you. That said, you know, there's a possibility that Layer could do really well. What I liked about Layer was their market cap compared to Unitrade was so low. Moonswap, yeah, so Moonswap I know a lot less about. They were trying to get me to do a video on them, but I just didn't actually reach a point of caring too much. They didn't catch my eye, but yeah, wow, this is what the heck is going on with this chart? Whoa. Was this one of those coins where they just did like insane APYs and just gave it out like millions of them all at once? Because that's the only way you could get this kind of a crushing drop here. I mean, this is bad. Seems like they're down 97% or so from just this month. Ouch. Ouchie. Yeah, what can I say? It doesn't look good. Doesn't look good to me. Not at least, who knows, maybe the product's good, but the token doesn't look very appetizing. All the record shorts on bonds, and that's where the smart money is. When that unwinds, shouldn't USD hit the moon right before it goes to zero? Thank you for that comment, Stuart Mark. I think that's a very, very good comment. I'm not an expert on the bond market, but things like this I like to believe, right? When everyone's saying short the dollar, typically that means that there's a play in longing the dollar. Just like with Bitcoin, when everybody's looking at the same exact way, it typically doesn't do that. Just like when everybody was looking for the CME gap at 9,600 to get filled, of course it didn't get filled. There's something about the sort of the counter, when everybody's looking one way, you do the other thing. That's just sort of like this continually right indicator. If you follow the counter trade indicator, it can tend to prove right. In the end, I don't think dollar ever hits zero, right? I don't think USD is going to moon either. I think that the truth is always going to be somewhere in between. But what I think of as, even if the USD has a strong pump, I believe that in the end, there is a desperation to print and save short term a lot of agony in the United States. And so that doesn't change the reality of the money printer, and that doesn't change the reality of the money printer making its way into crypto. So there's a possibility that if that happens, you could get a simultaneous excess printing of the dollar with an accumulation, an increase in the US dollar strength, as well as those dollars finding their way into price reactive assets, causing them to rise. And so I think there's a reality in which these sort of common ideologies that if you print the dollar, it gets weaker. Well, it doesn't necessarily happen immediately. You could print the dollar, have the dollar raise in strength, as well as enter into the equity markets and have all those things happen in confluence, which is what was happening throughout the early part of 2020. If you remember, gold was pumping, the equities were pumping, real estate was pumping, the dollar was pumping, everything was pumping together. And so I think that there's a sort of counterintuitive situation that might manifest, that all of these assets pump together. And that would be something that no one expects. But then there could be a big sort of rug pull on that, where all the, at least the US dollar starts to fall tremendously. Maybe there's a temporary sort of uncertainty in the stocks before they start mooning. I think equities, crypto are set to do really well with this money printing, but that could happen, to answer your question. Thoughts on XFI? Yeah, obviously I shared with you guys that I was very happy with my play on XFI when they announced that their core clone. The reason why XFI got popular was because they announced that they are implementing core tokenomics. And that happened literally, very obviously, right here, right? You have right here, they announce, hey, we're going to do core tokenomics. Boom, you get this crazy run up. Then they say right here, hey, audit's complete. We're about to have core tokenomics. You get this insane pop. And then they release an article saying, hey, well, actually, the core tokenomics is a sub-token within XFI. It's not XFI. And then you get this big sell-off and it just continues to get crushed. Now, will XFI turn around here and start to get some traction and turn onwards and upwards? I don't know, but the reason why I liked XFI was specifically because of my theory about core clones. I think at this point that theory has been proven almost 100% accurate, that these core became the new trending YF. Like it used to be YF this, then it became core sort of knockoffs, Encore, Dcore, Xcore, whatever. And so, and now the oversaturation point has been hit. That said, core actually had an announcement that I covered yesterday. And core, it sold off a little bit, but it was just this idea that they're creating a new ERC20 standard, or ERC95 is what it's called, not 20. But they announced it here, and it drove the price up from 3,700 up to 5,000. It's a pretty significant increase here. And since then, it's been kind of weak. However, this is pretty amazing what they're doing. And by binding all of these tokens in a new ERC20 standard, they're essentially creating the same on-chain data that would be provided by an oracle. And so there's something really interesting here. I've heard people tell me that they think that this could potentially disrupt a little bit of the oracle space. I wouldn't go that far at all. I don't understand the mechanism deeply enough, but I love the innovation. And so that's what you'll always find out of me, is that first and foremost, I want to see projects and products that elevate the space and bring value and potentially lead to more mainstream adoption. I think that increasing the functionality of on-chain vehicles like ERC standards, that's awesome. And so that this actually made me think much more positively about core as being actually, more of an innovation project than just a straight tokenomics play. And so I want to see more of this out of them. But again, XFI, to return to your question here, let me get to Twitter here. Ming. So this guy Ming, whatever. It's not important to find the tweet, but he's been tweeting a lot. The point is, when he tweets, you can see the reactions on the XFI chart, and you can see exactly why XFI pumped. And so, to put it quite simply, I don't know if there's really evidence that XFI should or will continue to pump, considering the fact the only reason it was pumping was because of this core thing, and now they're introducing a different token that's actually the core token. I hope that makes sense. So I'm not buying XFI. I'm not pushing XFI. I believe that just like other core clones, there's potential for all these core clones to have oftentimes short-lived pumps, just like we saw with core. I mean, core's pump was pretty short-lived, right? We had, look, it pumped for the first 2-3 days. It pumped up to, so let's just say it was on the 28th it was born, or the 27th, and then it topped here on the 2nd. So what did it have, like a couple of days of pumping? And since then it's just been maybe gaining its traction again. Maybe this is going to cup all the way up and pump again. I can't predict those things, but what I can say is that what made me bullish on XFI is no longer quite exactly the same case. And I also, once I saw that XFI had topped here, I was watching this pretty closely because I was treating this as just sort of a, just like core, it was going to take maybe a day or so to get through its pump. And, we have here on the 3rd, 2 days later, it's hitting crazy, another all-time high. You see it getting rejected down here, then bouncing up, rejected down here, then bouncing up, rejected down here, then bouncing up, rejected, bounce, rejected, bounce. And then we saw it got rejected, it bounced, and then it started to fall again. And I was like, you know what? This is actually right here about $700. I was seeing that I was breaking these trends again, that it wasn't following this bullish pattern, and that it looked like it was losing steam. I don't know what's going to make it regain steam, but that's my breakdown on XFI and why I bought and why I sold. What to stake on KuCoin? I guess if you have funds on KuCoin and you can't remove them, then anything, right? Sorry, it's a bad joke. Guys, for what it's worth, I hope that everything ends up being okay from the KuCoin hack. I think we're still in a data gathering phase. We'll see what the end results are. But previous to this hack, I was really positive on KuCoin. I generally thought that their trading experience was pretty much as good as it got for these coins, these Binance-esque exchanges. They would have coins that Binance wouldn't have earlier, so it offer that opportunity. Coins like Acropolis, Energy Web Token, Utrust, another amazing coin that I love, absolutely love Utrust. Where is this? This one, yeah, this was a tweet here, a crypto differ, and there was just a bunch. The reason why I liked it was they showed a bunch of great tokens here. Utrust, Rune, RSR, Phantom, Kava, favorites of the channel, and they were showing coins, between 50 and 100 million based on their price performance. And I just think that, they didn't really do any analysis here, but there's actually several really good coins here. And Bancor BNT, also a solid coin. I'm not a big investor or have never been that interested in their project, but they do fit into a lot of the same boxes of these other projects. So I thought I'd share this because obviously these are some coins I expect to do really well in this next phase. Utrust, Rune, RSR, Phantom, Kava. I believe that they'll do very, very, very well with this macro situation I've been describing, which is more stimulus. We get new all-time highs on Bitcoin. Potentially that drains the alts for at least, maybe a month or so. And then we start to get the slingshot effect where these alts start to have what I believe could be an explosive 2021. And so that's what I'm holding out for until proven otherwise. I'm expecting that that's going to be the case. So when coins show that they might have bottomed in some senses, like looking at Acropolis, this kind of looks like it's trying to reverse its trend here, right? Like it really looks like it spent some time here and it's really starting to form kind of like a cup. Who knows? This could go on for maybe a few more weeks, maybe even a couple of months. If we're looking at NEO as the example, its fall about 80%, spending some time at the bottom. If I see those as accumulation zones, assuming that we get more stimulus, assuming all of the things are true. These would be great accumulation zones for things like Acropolis, obviously the DeFi majors, things like Ren, Synthetics, Lend, or I guess Aave is just Aave now. But Aave's been an absolute monster. It's a shame that you can't see all the price history under the new ticker. But I would expect Aave to have an amazing 2021 as well. And knowing that it's this is what's amazing is I guess that it's not showing the old token. Can you not see? Yeah, okay, you can still see it. So Aave's about 50% down from its all-time high. It's hard to compare though. I'm going to hop into some more questions. I hope everyone's doing well. If you guys are enjoying the content, if you're getting some value out of it, I'd appreciate if you give me a thumbs up. It's a free and easy way to support the channel. And of course, if you guys want some more time-sensitive information, feel free to hit that sub button. Cheers for always having great content, brother. Do you have any thoughts on DMM governance token? Gosh, I haven't actually checked in on DMM since I first covered them back in like early July. And it seems like they've had a pretty rough go. And I think the big issue here is two things. The big issue here is they started at too high of a market cap. So they started around like 50 mil market cap, or they sold coins at a really high market cap. And then now they needed to sort of go down and gain that sort of base level support. But to me, that's the first thing. The second thing is they're promising to sort of do some things that they haven't quite effectuated, which is they want real world assets on the blockchain for use in DeFi, but I don't think they have enough of those real world assets. So I think that's one of the biggest bottlenecks here. And one of the reasons why I'm not a big believer in real world NFTs, because there's just so many layers of systems that are not in existence, that are not set up yet. So it makes that whole thing just very, very impractical. Whereas for digital NFTs of value, the main digital assets I see having value are in-game video game assets. That's something I could see being extremely, extremely explosive. You want a ledger J stacking, you shall get one if you win. Lots of people want ledgers. That's okay. I hate to break it to you guys, but these chats, I can't index them for my random comment picker, so they don't actually enter you to win. What about PlotX? This is the prediction market, PlotX. I've seen it. They're getting a lot of sponsors. They hit me up as well. I didn't have enough time to look into it. Sometimes, guys, my day is just so packed that I don't get back to projects because I simply lose the message. I just have so many people contacting me. But it's, it looks like it's an interesting project. PlotX, obviously the biggest prediction market I know of is Augur. Augur is the biggest prediction market, but you saw I could barely think of it because this was like a hot topic back in 2017, 18. But I'm not extremely bullish on prediction markets. I'm much more bullish on derivatives. Fish or chicken for dinner? Well, if you're a winner, you have a chicken dinner. Seal, have you looked at this? I have not. I'm sorry. Ming the Merciless. That's a great comment. Matic Network. Yeah, Matic's been killing it. I've been covering. They have ex-Matic team doing Unilend, which I'm really bullish on. They have their Quick Swap. They're having layer 2 DeFi with Easy. I've been kind of spreading out little bets across that whole ecosystem. What do you think about Dia? They have some airdrops for HODL, their tokens. Do I expect an optimistic 2021? Yeah, Dia is a good one, right? Dia is a good one because this one got brought down to earth significantly. It got brought down to earth. We covered this thing at $1 or so. It went up to almost $4, came back down, but it's definitely held above where we covered it significantly. The question is what's going to happen with Dia. I think what was the ultimate low here? Oh, it came back down and touched 99 cents here in October. Dang, I didn't see it coming that low. But regardless, they did inject a ton more supply into the world, which is partly what's going on here. But I could see this thing doing well. Obviously, I liked it as a 5 million market cap. Even here, it's like when it touched down to these prices, it's got like, I think, what is this? So it's up here at $1.40, so 50%. So yeah, so when it was the same price, it was a 5 million market cap as when it was like a 28 million market cap just a few days ago. So yeah, I think it could do good growth, just like the whole Oracle sector. I'm looking for the Oracle sector to do well along with DeFi in 2021. So yeah, I think Dia is good. Is it going to be my first bet for the biggest gains? That's really hard to say. Probably newer projects would give bigger gains. But I personally am very excited for the DeFi majors. And a lot of the coins that I have, like on all my coins list videos, I'm very passionate about those coins and I think they'll do well, save for the yield farming projects because that space just got completely saturated and forked into oblivion. It took a left I didn't see coming. Is Meme and Ava Gotchi Ghost dead? No, they're not dead. It's just that there's a lot more players in that very niche ecosystem. NFTs are a tiny part of the crypto world still. Many people don't understand them. It's incredibly hard to value them. And so Meme came up with this new concept of how to create NFTs, but very quickly that was copied and forked. And so the question is, what gives that asset unique value? And if you are able to create unique value in those assets, then any of those platforms become valuable. But it's hard to say exactly when and how there will be an explosion in the NFT world. The NFT world is kind of like its own world. My biggest belief is that it will thrive with video game assets. Checking in on a few more of these chats here. Yeah, so I'm actually with Uni. I actually immediately what I did was well, not immediately, but when it went up above like around $8 or $7, I got a bunch of different of these airdrops. So I sold one or two of the wallets worth, and then I kept one or two wallets, and I put that into the Uni ETH liquidity pool. And so I've been getting LP fees just on Uni ETH on Uniswap because I thought that would be like a really high traffic liquidity pool. And so I think at this point, my fees are now in excess of what the value of that token was worth. And so, you know, that was just sort of what my Uni is just sitting in the liquidity pool. So that's what I did with it. But yeah, I guess technically I'm holding it and I'm also staking it in the liquidity pool. So I've done well with that. I'm sure ongoing, that'll probably be a pretty fruitful thing, right? Obviously at the very beginning, there's all that excitement, but I think ongoing, especially as they drop Uniswap v3, I think there will be another huge explosion of excitement around the Uni token. So I don't think that's a bad strategy, but you got to be aware that there's something called impermanent loss. So you could lose funds just by staking in a liquidity pool. What do you think of LuaSwap or Holy Held? I have never heard of either of those projects. Sorry about Oregon's Riches. I don't know about that project. Feel free to DM me on Telegram. Thank you for the super chat. I'll do my best to get to it. Have you looked into Wanatha? No, I haven't. Thank you for the super chat, though, Cody. Any insight into Dexy Network? Sorry, no insight into Dexy. People keep asking. I'll have to get on that one and research into it. Biden in now way win without a botched election. Okay. Core is about to pop off again big. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm impressed with them trying to create a new ERC standard that even potentially becomes something of an oracle. It's very exciting to me, this stuff. And I believe that that's the way to win the game, is to consistently innovate. That's what Andre Cronje was doing. That's why YFI exploded, is because he was pushing. He was pushing the envelope, and he slowed down a lot for good reason. And now you see why people move slower. It's because in the end, you move fast and you break things with people's money on the lines, you can create a big stink. Mike Edwards, thank you so much. You're always tipping so generously, Mike. I think you're my biggest tipper ever. Big fan. Question. Many, like you, believe BTC will moon first and alts dump. What's the best way to trade to capture both moves? If BTC goes hard first, why not fully be there first and then time moving into the alts after the BTC moon? Well, to answer that question quite simply is nobody knows. We can all sort of assume and we can base off historicals, but nobody knows what the order would be. I think a lot of people would have been shocked to say that Bitcoin was able to, or that the altcoins were able to do what they did this summer. I think a lot of people didn't see that coming, myself included, right? I only saw it coming once it had been confirmed sort of throughout June. And that's when I was like, hey, this is really starting to become something. However, I didn't see that coming before Bitcoin made its move. I thought Bitcoin was going to make its move first. And so if you were to just wait on confirmation of Bitcoin this whole time, then you would have missed out on the magic that was this alt season, which even though there's been some crushing sort of downside to it, based on the comments, based on the people in my community, it seems like some people made amazing growth of their portfolios throughout these last few months. So obviously there were some people who hopped on at the very tail end of the bull run and they got, or the bull cycle, and they got crushed in September. And maybe there are some people down there, but I think there's a significantly more people who had an amazing expansion of their portfolio throughout August. And so to answer your question is, if you knew and you had a crystal ball, then of course you would hop onto Bitcoin and then hop onto the alts. But imagine if Bitcoin makes its way to 30K, that's a 200% growth. If Acropolis just gets back to its all-time high, or if Teller just gets back to its all-time high, or even if Dia just gets back to its all-time high, you're making more money on any of those, right? And so you need Bitcoin to smash through its all-time high plus 50%, and then you could get the same gain as some of these altcoins. So it becomes one of those things of, in the end, Bitcoin leading the charge will bring the liquidity, because there's hundreds of billions of dollars that come with any percentage, or like, you know, a new all-time high with Bitcoin would be hundreds of billions of dollars in growth for the entire ecosystem. But then you get these smaller altcoins, which financially can be transformative. And so that's the sort of push and pull, is that you can try to time it, but you might not know. So diversification is definitely the best thing to do. And so in the end, you don't want to be join any of the gangs. And when alts are bulling, it's a great place to be. Right now, if it wasn't for the imminent stimulus that seems like it should be hitting the economy either by year end or early next year, I would say things look really shaky in the alts. And it's not about just being hopeful and just hoping their way up. It's about focusing on macro trends. And I believe alts move in trends, they move in cycles, and that stimulus is a big part of this equation. So that's my personal thesis. I believe it's been pretty well proven out since I started speaking about it in early July, when I really started focusing on the alt season that we had. And so that's the reason, that's my approach to it. And I hope that has answered your question and helped. But yeah, if it was obvious which one would go in what order, everyone would do the same thing. Street Fighter NFTs coming to Wax next month. Very cool. Thank you, Light Liger. What are your thoughts on Unilend? Yeah, so I did end up taking part in the investment thing. I really like Unilend. I like Unilend. I plan to get more of it on the public markets, but I like Unilend a lot. I've been talking about it privately and publicly for a while. As soon as I found out about it like a month and a half ago. XIOT is doing DeFi right, and you will appreciate the project if you check it out in DYOR. So yeah, I mean, I've had 2 or 3 people who I really trust and respect talk about XIOT to me. I know that they have several tokens in their ecosystem, but I haven't done enough of a deep dive. But the people I like, people I trust, have said positive things about it to me. We need the next 3x low cap altcoin, please. Yeah, you know, I hope you guys have realized that I really care. I really take a deep sense of ownership over when I talk about a coin on my channel. I want it to be something that benefits you guys. And so, you know, for example, with the Parsec situation, you know, I want to do a big follow-up on them, because I feel really badly for the people who were affected negatively by the Parsec situation. But I also think Parsec is a really good project, and I want to help sort of them make sure that they communicate everything that they did to protect holders, as well as there are some people who got left behind there. So figuring out what can be done. I believe that project has a bright future still. And so, you know, whenever there's a project that I talk about in this climate right now, in this sort of interim climate, I think talking about, you know, hey, this thing's gonna moon, it's very much so the projects that are doing crazy gains, a lot of them are pumping and dumping. And so it's just a degen market right now. And so it's a little bit unfortunate, but that's just kind of like the fast moving nature of it. I talked about this on a couple episodes ago, on an episode a couple days ago. In the end, I believe that this market will turn on again, and it will be much easier to navigate, and you can go to good projects with through lines, great teams, they're public, this isn't anonymous rug pulley stuff, and it'll become a fruitful endeavor for people. But in the meantime, as you guys know, I haven't put out like a lot of gem videos because I don't, it's a different climate, right? And I adjust my daily biases super often. Like I adjust super often based on the changing climate. And so when I feel like a gem is ripe, when I feel like the climate is ripe, I'll put it out. But I don't want to lead people into just a high risk situation. Hey, Elliot, Unicrypt is becoming UNCX. Like now, what are your thoughts? Good, sir. I like Unicrypt. They're anti-rug pull. They helped bring some proof of liquidity being locked. But the thing is, what Unicrypt is doing is not unique anymore, because you have Lid, you have Unistake, you have a few other projects that are allowing for that same thing to be accomplished. So again, it's a good project. I like their rebrand. I don't know everything involved in their rebrand, but I know that what I liked about them has been mimicked, right? So it's a little harder for me to say what the upside will be. Give us one gem this week. All right, guys, you guys want a gem? Like, I mean, here's the thing. if I put out a gem and it doesn't do well, I'm gonna feel bad about it. You guys are gonna feel bad about it. But a lot of the projects that are doing well right now are also not necessarily the most, like, they don't have strong teams and their technology isn't necessarily innovative. They just have the hype. They have like that low cap sort of high risk hype, and that doesn't really fit with the type of gem videos that I like to do. I like to talk about the tech, the through line, the team. I like to see something that's really going to fit in and make crypto better. I fell asleep and missed the Unistake ICO. Did you miss the boat? If so, is there another project with as much potential you can point us towards? You didn't miss the boat, actually. It's slightly down from the ICO or from the ISO. Bear in mind that the way this worked was all the people who unstaked and sold, a lot of those coins got distributed to people who were still staking. So if it was just my initial coins, I'd be down like 25% or something right now, or 30. But because of those dividends I got, then I actually am only down like 10%. And so if it pumps up slightly, I'll be in really good territory. So that's why I'm holding on. I don't know. Unistake, what I like about them is, more than the price and the performance, I like their technology. I like the problems they're solving. So that's why I cover coins. It's when I like their tech more than just the price too. No supercycle for XRP. And this seems to be the same question, which is, what do you have as far as a gem? You guys want gems. I heard you guys loud and clear. I'll come up with something that fits the bill, something I could see doing X's. But remember, what we've seen since September and October is it's much more rocky for altcoins without that liquidity flooding the ecosystem. So the macro factors have changed. And before I go and make like a big gem video, I want to be sure, I want to feel at least 75, 80% confidence that this thing's going to pump. I did not. Did I miss your super chat? I think I missed a super chat. Oregon's Riches, thank you. Hits Sugar says, can you imagine NFTs in a massive MMO? Yeah, I totally can. In fact, I'm building a game. We were originally going to build an MMO. It just was too big of an undertaking. But MMOs with items, I think, is probably the best type of game. That would be a great application, like a World of Warcraft or something. That would be absolutely phenomenal, right? And so giving people more ownership over in-game assets, I think open world games are really interesting for that. There's a lot of video game concepts. Almost all successful game concepts, I think, could benefit from NFTs and in-game assets. So is XRP a ghost chain? I wouldn't go that far, but it's just so big that it's already billions in value. What is it? $11 billion in market cap. So, how much it has to increase by 10 billion in market cap to do 2x, right? Monster DAO 88% staking in airdrops. Yep. Yeah, Dark and Matic. Yeah, I actually hold Dark. I got some Dark like a month ago. I haven't checked up on it in a while. So I'll have to check back up on it. RuneScape plus NFT would kill. Yeah, I think any good game would kill, right? Any good game with NFTs. It's just about it being an amazing game. You put in some like terrible game and with NFTs and it doesn't prove the point, right? It doesn't achieve the goal of testing the hypothesis. Oh, wow, my webcam's been really small. All right, let me get myself back up here. Let me get myself back up to size. Nope. Cool. No opinions on OneChain. This was like a buzzy project from 2 years ago. I haven't really seen enough progress from them to care. What are my thoughts on Sand and Engine? Sand, I like. They have a game. Engine doesn't have a game, but they make sort of utilities. I think Engine could do well, but I honestly would expect something like Sand to do better because it's actually got utility in a game. And I think the game is in video game and NFT world, in this order, it's game is most important, then it's the game, then it's the game. Forget the blockchain, forget the way the NFTs are structured, forget how decentralized it is, forget like what type of game it is. If people play the game and they spend their time, they will spend their money. They spend their money, they'll care about the items. And so it's just as simple as that if they play the game and they love it, then those items will have value and the NFT ecosystem can thrive. Why does your name keep changing, Ben? I don't know. Big time ADA. Yeah, shout out to Cardano. Believe me, guys, at one point I spent every dime I had on Cardano, and I've been a big believer in this project. Big. I will say it's been a big letdown for me in many ways, and I'm still optimistic that they could deliver something in the future, but they are a professor project. Charles Hoskinson is not moving very fast, and I do worry whether they're moving too slow. So we'll see. There's always a future for something as big as ADA with as big of a community as ADA has. But we don't even have smart contracts. It's 2020 and we don't even have smart contracts. So I have a lot to look forward to with Cardano, but I'm also not extreme. Like, I don't wake up every day and check the Cardano news. So if that makes sense. If you wait on the sidelines with stablecoins, are the top 2 projects to farm with your stablecoins? Okay. I'll look into where the best yields are. It used to be like there was this site DeFi Rate, which would compare some of the top sort of lending and borrowing ecosystems. I feel like Fulcrum is consistently one of the easiest ways to earn. They typically have above 20% APY. Yearn Finance, YFI, they were doing really well for a while. Their APYs were really high. So you can earn like 60% on your Chainlink, but that's obviously risky because Chainlink is very, very volatile. Yeah, so for stable coins, you're getting very low APYs here in YFI right now. Whereas that was over 70% for your stable coins at one point. And so I'll look into it. I think Fulcrum seems to be the one that is continuously performing and giving you the highest APYs for stables, 17%. But most people want more APY than that. You might be, if there's an altcoin you believe in, getting good staking rewards, then maybe that's a good idea because right now things are very low. And I also saw something about Congress essentially not counting staking rewards as taxable until the staking rewards were tapped out. And so essentially there could be a tax sort of benefit of staking rewards. And also, my theory is that what we're going to look forward to next year is a boom that resembles 2017 in altcoins and Bitcoin. That's my hope. That's why I've been here for 4 years, and I remain extremely optimistic given the macro circumstances. Vitalik and Charles like AVAX. That's Avalanche, right? Yeah. Avalanche looks solid. I mean, Unibright is an amazing project. What Unibright's been doing. Fart. Yeah, Unibright. Maybe I'll do a Unibright video just because they have so many positives. Accumulating something like Unibright before the next bull run might be a very smart idea as well. Cream on Binance Smart Chain. Smart of them. Binance smart of them. Yeah, Guggen ADA is coming this month. Yeah, it was supposed to come in 2017. I'd love to see it. Wow, that's a cool little GIF you sent me. Thank you, Simon, with the €2 tip. I appreciate you. R-Fuel. Again, this one really underperformed. Its timing was terrible. Came out in a bad market. If this had come out in August, it would have popped, I believe. But yeah, R-Fuel might be an amazing pickup. Key Polkadot coin as well. Really never got its big pump, so that could be a great opportunity. Ben Anderson, super chat. Thank you. Is that you saying that you sent me one? I really apologize, guys, if I missed some of these. I don't mean to. I try to see them all. And I also try to get to the non-super chats. I don't want you guys to think that I only respond to super chats. What's my take on Flow with their new partnership with Top Shot? So Flow is actually created by Roham, who created CryptoKitties, and Roham owns Top Shot. So it's kind of like it's not a partnership per se. He created Flow, he created Dapper Labs, he created Top Shot, he licensed the rights to all these things. And so it's not really a partnership, it's just part of the same ball of wax. And they have a lot of big plans. I mean, they made so much money off CryptoKitties, and then they raised so much money. So they made like 30 million and they raised like 40, 50 million. So they had a serious, war chest. They had a war chest. Loopring, how you feeling for the bull run and for the noobs? Yeah, I mean, Loopring's interesting. There's definitely a lot of competition right now. L2 dexes. Should I sell YFI? I can't answer that question. That would be financial advice. No, I'm just kidding. YFI to me, again, I think of as a great project, and supposedly there's an army of devs cranking out updates. But again, I think YFI benefited a lot from the perception that Andre Cronje could do no wrong, and that's been unproven. Unistake, bruh. Cream has 40 to 50% on band for a few days, but not more. Okay, I get it. You're talking about APYs. What do you stop? Don't ask me about conspiracy theories about politics, guys. That's not the place. You guys know this. Axion is coming. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I prefer projects that are not just tokenomics projects. That's why you don't hear me talk about, ever since, and I thought Ampleforth brought something really innovative, but seeing how copy and pastable Ampleforth was made me realize that even something as innovative as Ampleforth with elastic supply was just easily carbon copied. So I try to focus on projects that are building products, and those products will build user bases. And just like Facebook and Instagram, people can copy and paste Facebook and Instagram, but once people are using a product daily, guess what? It's really hard to get them to switch. We saw that with Uniswap. Everyone tried to fork and copy Uniswap, but it's not easy to get people to switch to your product once they get comfortable on one ecosystem. And so obviously there's liquidity concerns as well, but that's why to me product is king. Because if you have a product that people enjoy using, then you now have a protective moat. You have a competitive advantage. Someone can copy you, but they can't take what you have. And so that's why I like to see projects that are much more than just tokenomics, because tokenomics are copy paste. And in theory, if you have the same tokenomics as someone else and your coin is cheaper, then there's an argument that the cheaper coin is better. And because it can pump easier, right? If those tokenomics were all that great, then you'd want to be in the lower market cap version. Whereas if someone has a product that's popular, it's very hard to copy that. You can't copy and paste the popularity and the community around a product. So that's why I look at things through this lens. So someone asked, what are my thoughts on real DeFi projects, Acro, Ohm, Centivate? Should I move all my Shatcoin funds into them? That's a good question. I can't really answer that because right now, degen Shatcoins are what's pumping. So, who knows? You might get more gains leaving them in bad coins now. But when the real bull run comes, I believe good coins will be the focus. At least for like 100x plus gains. These terrible, micro cap degen coins can pump 10x. But then they'll dump immediately. Theta, I have positive thoughts about Theta. I'm supposed to start streaming for them. I need to get back to the team. Sorry. If you guys see this Theta team, I know I'm supposed to get back to you. I apologize. It's been a busy week. Yeah, so somebody's saying this isn't the place for government conspiracy, but crypto is at the forefront of conspiracy and may be the one thing to bring conspiracy to the forefront. Lol. I actually like that comment. That was a great comment. Thank you for that. All right, guys. Yes, I could keep talking about coins, but I feel like I've covered a lot. We're now, what is this? Oh gosh, we're way over an hour. I try to keep them at about an hour length. At any rate, I appreciate you guys following, supporting the channel. Truly, your support means more to me than you can imagine. It's a tough time when the market corrects, but I believe where we are right now is far from where we were back in 2018 and 2019. I believe we have a lot more to look forward to a lot sooner, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm so aggressively making content, and that's why I'm so optimistic, because I believe that the next few months will potentially be the beginning of the biggest cycle yet, the super cycle. We still have yet to truly achieve market penetration of cryptocurrency assets in the mainstream public, and there will be a cycle. And I believe there is a high likelihood it is this cycle where these products and services and assets become commonplace for most people across the globe. For that reason, I continue to work on bringing video games to the public that have NFTs and crypto in them, to bring content that helps better understand, articulate, and helps people take advantage of this ecosystem. My goal is really just to be as helpful as possible. And so if that's a value to you guys, I appreciate if you guys give me a thumbs up on this video. And of course, if you're not subscribed, feel free to hit that sub button, and don't forget to press that little bell notification, and make sure you click all notifications, because when the time is right, and I do feel like there's a Gemaroonie out there, I'm going to make those videos, and you definitely want to be some of the first people to take advantage of it, because when the market is working and everything is lined up, which I believe is coming right around the corner, well, it's a great time for altcoin gems. Let's just leave it at that. I thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Elio Trades. If you want to connect with me, follow me on Twitter at Elio Trades. Join my Telegram group, t.me/Elio Trades Crypto. As usual, thanks for watching, and I will see you very soon on the next episode.